Observe, adapt, and create. That is the simple key to bringing beauty into our everyday spaces. Imagine a small garden transformed into an elegant retreat, crafted with nothing more than creativity and a few simple items. At Crafted Nest, we believe every corner of your home can become a work of art. And today, we'll walk together through inspiring ideas that are easy to make, budget-friendly, yet look as if they came straight out of a designer catalog. So stay with us, enjoy the journey, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to never miss the latest ideas that will turn your home and garden into a place of wonder. Sometimes, beauty is hidden in the simplest things, waiting for our hands to give it purpose. Imagine walking into your garden at twilight, and above you, a chandelier glimmers softly, casting a golden glow across your flowers and pathways. It looks like something from a designer magazine, yet it was crafted with only a wire basket, a few solar lights, and your imagination. This idea begins with a simple act: removing the stakes from the solar lamps, keeping only the glowing tops. One by one, you fasten them around the rim of the basket, secure them with adhesive or zip ties, and give the frame a new coat of paint. Black for elegance, bronze for warmth, or silver for a modern shine. The basket, once ordinary, becomes a crown of light. When you flip it upside down and hang it from a branch or pergola, the magic reveals itself. In daylight, it resembles a chic outdoor chandelier, blending naturally with the greenery. But as the sun sets and the lights awaken, it transforms your garden into a stage of serenity, where shadows dance and every leaf shimmers. The best part is that this beauty costs no electricity. The sun powers it quietly during the day, and the night gives back the gift of light. Neighbors may wonder where you found such elegance, and you can smile, knowing it was born from your hands and a spark of creativity. DIY is not just about saving money. It is about creating memories, moments, and a space that feels truly yours. This chandelier proves that with a touch of imagination, even the simplest items can shine like stars in your garden. Every garden has its quiet corners, spaces that long for a touch of grace. With just a few simple pieces from the dollar aisle, you can craft a pedestal that looks as though it belongs in the courtyard of an old estate. This is the secret charm of the planter pedestal stand, taking the ordinary and lifting it into something noble. The process begins with glass candlesticks, fragile, clear, and humble. When stacked together, they become the spine of your design. To their crown, you attach a bowl or planter, something wide enough to hold soil and blooms. Strong adhesive binds them into one, and the shape of elegance emerges. The choice of color breathes life into the illusion. A coat of matte black turns glass into the image of wrought iron. A layer of antique gold whispers of timeless luxury. Stone gray adds a quiet dignity, as if carved from earth itself. When the paint dries, you no longer see dollar store glass. You see a pedestal that commands presence. Fill it with vibrant geraniums, trailing ivy, or even faux greenery if you prefer something everlasting. Place one beside your doorway to greet visitors with color, or pair them along a pathway to guide the eye forward. Wherever you set them, they lend height, stature, and harmony to your space. It is remarkable how lifting a plant just a few feet higher can change the way you see it. Flowers once hidden among the ground now stand tall, admired like works of art. And all it takes is imagination, patience, and a belief that beauty does not have to be expensive to feel grand. There are times when a garden feels smaller than we wish, as though the boundaries of fences and walls press in too tightly. Yet with a little imagination, even a modest space can open up, stretching beyond its edges. The illusion mirror garden wall is one of those quiet secrets that invites infinity into your yard. It begins with frames, plain, simple picture frames you may pass by without a second thought. Their glass is replaced with mirrored vinyl, cut carefully to fit, perhaps strengthened with a backing of cardboard. A coat of metallic paint transforms them further. Bronze for warmth, silver for elegance, or matte black for timeless strength. Once prepared, the frames are arranged along a fence or wall, not in rigid perfection, but with a sense of rhythm, as if they are windows into another world. As the sun passes overhead, its light strikes them, and suddenly the garden doubles. A bed of daisies reflects back in bloom, a patch of ivy climbs twice as high, and the air feels wider, lighter, more abundant. This illusion does more than decorate. It reshapes perception. A narrow path feels like a broad walkway. A small yard feels like a secret courtyard. Guests may pause, wondering how your garden seems so full, so layered. They may lean closer, discovering the reflection, and smile at the cleverness. Beyond appearances, there is poetry in seeing the world reflected. The sky captured in a frame, the sway of flowers multiplied, the joy of creating beauty from what is simple. In this way, the illusion mirror wall becomes not only decor, but a reminder. Sometimes, life is larger than it seems, if only we choose to see it differently. A path is more than a way to walk. It is a gentle invitation to journey through space, to linger and discover. Yet real stone can be costly, heavy, and difficult to place. That is why the faux stone walkway feels like a small miracle, an affordable transformation that carries the grace of stone without the burden. The making of it is both playful and precise. Pool noodles, usually meant for children's laughter and water, are cut into irregular shapes. They become the molds of stone, their curves traced onto a sturdy board. Once arranged, they are sealed in place, creating outlines where imagination will pour itself. Spray paint follows, layered in grays, tans, or weathered mixes, each shade whispering of ancient quarries and worn paths. The textures bloom under the nozzle, turning flat surfaces into something that seems chiseled by nature herself. When the paint dries and the noodles are peeled away, the illusion is revealed. Stepping stones that did not come from mountains, but from your hands. Laid gently on soil, grass, or gravel, the pieces guide footsteps through the garden. Around them, real pebbles or mulch may be scattered, blending truth and illusion so seamlessly that even a keen eye hesitates. Visitors tread the path, unaware that what feels timeless was born from foam and paint. It is in these small acts of creation that gardens gain character. A walkway shaped by your craft is not only a path for feet, it is a path for stories, for quiet evenings and curious mornings. Every stone holds a secret. Beauty does not always need to be heavy or expensive to be real in the heart. There is a quiet joy in stepping outside your door and reaching for herbs that you nurtured with your own hands. A sprig of mint for tea, a handful of basil for tonight's meal, parsley to brighten a plate, all within arm's reach. With a simple hanging organizer, what was once a tool for shoes becomes a living wall of fragrance and flavor. The transformation begins with soil and seeds, tucked carefully into each pocket. Basil, thyme, mint, rosemary, each finds a home in its small space, waiting for sun and water. The organizer, hung against a fence or balcony, seems unremarkable at first. Yet as weeks pass, green shoots emerge, leaves stretch outward, and the wall becomes alive. Labels add charm, handwritten on chalkboard stickers or wooden tags. Each pocket carries a name, a promise of taste and aroma. When sunlight pours across the leaves, shadows dance against the fabric, and the air fills with the scent of growing things. Even in the smallest of spaces, a narrow balcony, a modest yard, this garden breathes abundance. It is practical, yes, but also poetic. The herbs not only season food, they season life with a sense of connection. They remind us that nature does not need sprawling land to thrive. It only needs care, patience, and a touch of creativity. Guests may marvel at how your wall blooms with greenery, unaware that it was crafted from something so humble. To garden vertically is to defy limitation. It is a gesture of gratitude, of making space where there was none. And each time you pluck a leaf to flavor your meal, you taste not only freshness, but the quiet pride of having grown it yourself. Every climbing plant holds a secret desire to reach for the light. Vines curl upward, roses stretch tall, ivy wanders skyward. All they ask is for something to guide them, a frame upon which they can write their story. With nothing more than cooling racks and a little paint, you can offer them a path, and in return, they will weave beauty into your garden. The process is delightfully simple. Cooling racks, often used in kitchens, are joined side by side with zip ties, forming a grid of possibility. A touch of spray paint transforms them. Black to blend with leaves, bronze for elegance, or even gold for a bold designer statement. The racks, once meant for bread and cookies, now stand as ladders to the sky. Placed in a planter or anchored to a wall, they wait patiently. Soon, ivy begins to curl around the wires, morning glories unfurl delicate blooms, and climbing roses scatter petals along the frame. Day by day, the trellis disappears beneath a tapestry of green and color until it seems less like a kitchen tool and more like art. Guests may pass by and pause, wondering where such a polished trellis was found. They see not the humble beginnings, but the harmony it now holds, plant and frame, nature and craft. The beauty lies not only in its appearance, but in the way it allows life to climb higher, fuller, freer. To build a trellis is to make a promise to the plants that you will support their journey. And in return, they gift you blossoms that reach toward the sun, a wall of living beauty born from your hands. As the sun sets and shadows stretch across the garden, something magical begins to awaken. Along the path, flower pots that once seemed ordinary begin to glow softly, like lanterns cradling life. This is the charm of glow-in-the-dark pebble pots, simple creations that transform darkness into wonder. The making is as playful as it is creative. A plain pot becomes your canvas, and adhesive becomes your brush. Glow stones, gathered in handfuls, are pressed gently onto the surface. You may scatter them in spirals, arrange them in stripes, or cover the pot completely until it shimmers even under daylight. During the day, they look like decorative jewels. But when the sun disappears, the stones remember the light, releasing it slowly, like a secret kept for the night. Imagine walking outside at dusk, greeted not by silence, but by a garden glowing as if touched by fireflies. Herbs, flowers, or succulents rest inside, their roots grounded in soil while their vessels shine outward. Place them along a pathway, and they guide your steps like soft beacons. Cluster them in corners, and they become gentle stars scattered across your yard. What makes these pots special is not just their beauty, but their quiet surprise. Neighbors may glance over your fence, seeing nothing unusual by day, only to wonder at the glowing garden you unveil at night. Children may pause in delight, adults in admiration. These glowing pots remind us that beauty often hides in contrast. Without darkness, light cannot reveal its magic. And with just a handful of stones and a little imagination, your garden can become a stage where night blooms with brilliance. There is something profoundly soothing about watching birds gather, dipping their wings into water, and lifting their songs into the air. A bird bath is not just a vessel for water. It is a stage for life, a meeting place where nature pauses to refresh itself. And to think, it can be made from simple glass pieces found in the dollar aisle. The process begins with candlesticks stacked tall, their transparency catching the light. A wide plate is fixed on top, forming a base, and finally, a deep glass bowl crowns the creation. With strong adhesive, these fragile parts unite into something sturdy, elegant, and inviting. If you wish, a coat of frosted spray or stone-textured paint can soften the shine, turning glass into something timeless. When set in the garden, The bowl is filled with clear water. The sun catches its surface, scattering light like diamonds, while flowers nearby frame it with color. Soon, small visitors arrive, sparrows dipping their beaks, robins shaking droplets from their wings, finches resting on the edge as though admiring their reflection. To sit quietly nearby is to witness a gentle ballet of feathers and water. The bath is more than decoration. It is an offering to the creatures that bring song to your mornings. Each ripple in the basin becomes a reminder that life, in all its forms, seeks moments of rest and joy. With little cost and simple tools, you create not only beauty for yourself, but a sanctuary for the world around you. And in return, your garden is filled with wings, voices, and the sparkle of living water. Sometimes beauty lies in giving something a second purpose, in letting objects tell a different story than the one they were made for. A lantern, meant only to hold light, becomes a vessel for life when transformed into a planter. This simple change turns an ordinary piece into a glowing treasure that enriches any garden. The process begins with care, removing the glass panels to create space inside. A small pot or even a handful of soil slips neatly into the lantern's frame. A succulent may rest there, content in its compact home. A trailing plant might spill gently over the sides, softening the lines of metal with green life. Around the base, moss or decorative stones can be added, weaving natural textures into the design. By day, it is a planter with charm, rustic, elegant, or playful, depending on your choice of paint and plant. By night, if fitted with a candle or a small LED light, it becomes something magical. The glow filters through the leaves, casting patterns of shadow and light, a soft reminder that beauty often multiplies when purposes are combined. Imagine walking along a pathway lined with these lantern planters, each one glowing like a guardian of the night. Or picture a single lantern hanging from a tree, swaying gently in the evening breeze, its light falling across petals below. Guests will pause, captivated not just by the plants, but by the gentle harmony between life and light. It is in this blend, nature and design, day and night, that the lantern planter finds its voice. A voice that whispers of creativity, of reuse, and of the quiet wonder that happens when we allow imagination to lead the way. There is something timeless about creating a world within a world, a tiny place where imagination takes root and blossoms. A miniature fairy garden is not just decoration. It is a story told in moss, stone, and figurines, an invitation for wonder to live among your flowers. It begins with a shallow container or pot, chosen not for its size, but for the magic it will hold. A layer of soil is spread, then softened with moss until it feels like a green carpet underfoot. Tiny houses or cottages, no bigger than your hand, are set upon this land. Pebbles form winding paths, a fence made of twigs guards the edges, and small figurines, perhaps a gnome, a fairy, or a woodland creature, bring life to the scene. Flowers or succulents rise like trees in this small world, and every detail whispers of a place that could exist if only you could shrink small enough to walk its streets. Sunlight strikes the mirrors of glass beads used as pawns, while shadows fall gently across tiny doors that seem to wait for someone to knock. What makes a fairy garden so enchanting is not its scale, but its spirit. It sparks curiosity in children and awakens nostalgia in adults. Guests may lean closer, eyes widening, as if expecting to see movement among the moss. And you, as the maker, will smile, knowing you built not just a decoration, but a dream. Placed along a pathway, clustered on a patio, or kept close by your window, these miniature worlds become reminders of the joy found in detail, in storytelling, in believing that even in the quiet corners of life, magic can dwell. Every garden needs a place to pause, a table to hold your tea, a corner to set down a book, a spot for flowers to rest. Yet beauty and function do not have to come with a heavy price. With nothing more than wire baskets and a board, you can create a side table that feels modern, airy, and designed with care. The process begins by flipping one wire basket upside down, forming a strong base. Another basket is stacked on top, right side up, and secured with zip ties or glue. A circular tray or wooden board rests on top, becoming the tabletop where life will gather. With a coat of spray paint, perhaps matte black for sophistication, white for freshness, or metallic for flair, the piece transforms, ready to stand proudly in any corner of your garden. Placed beside a chair, it becomes a faithful companion. A glass of lemonade waits on its surface, condensation beating under the sun. A vase of fresh flowers lifts color toward your eyes. A book lies open, pages fluttering softly in the breeze. The table, though born from humble materials, plays its role with quiet elegance. By night, string lights may glow above, their reflections caught in the basket's open weave. The design feels intentional, chic, almost store-bought, though you know it was crafted by your own hands. Guests may ask where you purchased it, surprised when you reveal its origin. This is the gift of DIY. Not just the savings, but the pride of knowing you shaped beauty with imagination. The wire basket side table proves that even the simplest objects can hold stories, and in your garden, those stories are written each time you sit, sip, and simply be. There is a timeless beauty in stone, its strength, its weight, its quiet dignity. Yet you do not need quarries or heavy slabs to bring that feeling into your garden. With a handful of plastic cups and a touch of creativity, you can craft candle holders that carry the look of concrete but remain light and simple to make. The journey begins by choosing cups or containers in different sizes, each one destined to hold a small light. A spray of faux concrete paint coats their surfaces, gray and textured, transforming plastic into something ancient and raw. To deepen the illusion, a sponge dabbed with darker tones can create shadows, the kind you'd see in real stone weathered by years. Once dry, these humble cups stand proudly, ready to cradle candles. Place LED lights for safety, or small real candles if you prefer a flickering glow. Cluster them together on a patio table, line them along a path, or set them at the base of a trellis. As evening falls, their light feels warm against the cool stone-like finish, as though you are sitting among sculptures carved by hand. The magic lies in contrast, fragility of flame, illusion of stone. Together, they tell a story of resilience and grace. Guests may run their fingers over the surface, surprised when they realize it is not heavy, not expensive, but simple and crafted with care. In the end, these candle holders are more than decoration. They are proof that beauty often lives in disguise, waiting for someone to see possibility where others see only plastic. With every glow, they remind us that light does not need grandeur to be profound. It only needs a vessel and a little imagination. There is something captivating about light caught in color, glass that shimmers, stones that sparkle under the sun. Mosaic gem garden stones are small canvases laid upon the earth, each one carrying patterns that transform a simple walkway into a gallery of light and imagination. It begins with cement poured into shallow molds or trays, the surface smoothed like a blank page waiting for art. Before it hardens, glass gems are pressed gently into place. Some choose symmetry, flowers blooming in blue, spirals in green, stars in amber. Others prefer randomness, letting colors scatter like jewels spilled across stone. Whatever the design, each gem catches light differently, creating a dance of reflections as the sun moves overhead. When the cement sets, the stones are lifted from their molds, no longer plain but radiant. Placed along a garden path, they invite footsteps not just to walk, but to pause, admire, and smile. In the rain, water magnifies the gems, making them gleam as if lit from within. In the evening, lanterns or string lights nearby catch their sparkle, extending their beauty into the night. Children may kneel down, tracing the shapes with curious fingers. Guests may ask where you bought such treasures, never guessing they were born from dollar store beads and a bit of patience. And you, as the maker, will know the quiet satisfaction of having turned the humble into the extraordinary. Each mosaic stone becomes more than decoration. It is a story told in fragments of glass, a reminder that beauty lies not in perfection, but in pieces coming together. With every step taken across them, you walk not just on stone, but on your own creativity shining back at you. A garden is more than soil and plants. It is a reflection of spirit, a story whispered through petals and leaves. Rustic wooden signs give that story a voice. With just a piece of wood, a brush, and a touch of imagination, you can guide guests, greet visitors, or simply leave gentle words scattered among the flowers. The journey begins with a board, perhaps a craft plank or an offcut from another project. Its surface is sanded smooth, then painted with a color that suits your garden's soul. White for freshness, gray for calm, pastel hues for a soft charm. Once dry, letters appear, stenciled neatly or hand-painted freely. Words like welcome, bloom, or herbs take shape, small messages of warmth and growth. To give the sign character, edges can be distressed with sandpaper or brushed lightly with diluted paint for an antique look. Mounted on a stake, it stands proudly in the soil beside a tomato plant. Hung from a branch, it sways gently with the breeze. Leaned against a fence, it becomes a quiet accent, waiting for eyes to notice. The effect is simple yet powerful. A sign by the herb garden reminds you where basil thrives. A plank near the roses carries a phrase that makes guests smile. Children might stop to read the words, tracing the paint with their fingers, while adults admire the rustic charm that feels both homemade and timeless. These signs are more than labels. They are poetry in wood, hints of personality scattered through the garden. They remind us that spaces we create are not just about function, but about feeling. And sometimes, the right word, painted on a humble plank, can turn a garden into a sanctuary of stories. There is a unique peace that only moving water can bring, the soft murmur of a stream, the gentle cascade of a fall. To invite that sound into your garden is to invite calm, and with a few bowls, a small pump, and imagination, you can create a fountain that feels like a luxury centerpiece. The making begins with bowls of varying sizes, stacked from largest to smallest. Adhesive secures them firmly, each one a tear waiting for water's touch. A small pump, hidden at the base, becomes the heart of the fountain, drawing water upward so it may fall again, endlessly renewing itself. To finish, the bowls may be painted, stone gray for a natural look, bronze for richness, or black for sleek elegance. When placed in the garden, the fountain comes alive. Water spills gently from the top, trickling into the next, before resting in the basin below. The sound is soft, steady, like a lullaby for the earth. Sunlight catches the ripples, scattering reflections across nearby leaves. Birds may pause to sip, and butterflies may hover, drawn by the shimmer. At night, lanterns or solar lights may frame it, turning the fountain into a glowing centerpiece. Guests will linger nearby, drawn not only by its beauty, but by the serenity it carries. They may wonder where you found such an elegant piece, never guessing it was crafted with your own hands, with only simple tools and care. In the rhythm of water, time slows. The fountain becomes more than decor. It is meditation, a reminder that beauty flows when we allow creativity to move freely. Every drop sings of peace, and in your garden, peace becomes part of the air you breathe. There is something deeply poetic about a plant suspended in air, swaying gently as the breeze passes through. A hanging rope pot holder is more than a craft. It is a way of giving plants wings, lifting them from the earth so they may dance with light. And the beauty lies in its simplicity. Rope, a few knots, and the patience of your hands. The process begins with natural jute or cotton rope, soft yet strong. Lengths are cut and tied together at the top, forming a loop for hanging. The strands are divided, knotted, and crossed, weaving a cradle that will one day hold a pot. Knot by knot, the design takes shape, not complex, but purposeful, each tie an act of care. When a terracotta pot or ceramic container is placed inside, the rope embraces it firmly. A trailing ivy may spill downward, its green leaves contrasting against the neutral tones of rope. A flowering plant may rise upward, blossoms nodding in the wind. Hung beneath a pergola, on a balcony, or from the branch of a tree, the holder transforms empty air into a gallery of life. By day, sunlight warms the rope and highlights the textures, while the plants sway gently as though alive with music. By night, lanterns or string lights nearby illuminate the hanging silhouettes, creating a soft glow around them. Guests may look up, surprised by the elegance of something made with such humble materials. In the act of crafting a rope pot holder, you create more than a vessel. You create rhythm, movement, and harmony between nature and handmade art. It is proof that beauty does not always rest on the ground. Sometimes, it hangs lightly in the air, inviting us to look upward and smile. A simple terracotta pot carries within it a quiet history. It is humble, porous, shaped by fire and earth. But in your hands, it can become a canvas, a celebration of color and pattern that breathes personality into your garden. Painted terracotta art planters are not just vessels for plants. They are expressions of creativity waiting to be revealed. The journey begins with a clean pot, its clay surface ready to hold paint. Acrylics are often best, bold enough to stand against sun and rain, yet flexible in design. Some may choose geometric lines, triangles in bright blues and yellows, echoing modern style. Others may lean toward florals, hand-drawn blossoms spiraling across terracotta like vines across stone. For a softer touch, pastel shades can be layered, evoking serenity and charm. Once painted and sealed, the pot becomes more than an object. It becomes art with function, beauty with purpose. Herbs seem fresher when growing from a pot adorned with leafy motifs. Flowers bloom brighter when framed by colors that mirror their petals. Even succulents, quiet and stoic, find themselves elevated by the patterns beneath them. Grouped together, these planters tell stories. A row of painted pots along a balcony ledge becomes a cheerful display, welcoming both morning sun and curious eyes. A cluster in the garden corner forms a living gallery, each design unique, each plant a character in the composition. This practice is more than craft, it is meditation. The brush moves, colors blend, and time slows. When finished, the planter not only holds roots but also carries the mark of your imagination. And in this way, your garden grows not only in greenery, but in artistry, becoming a space alive with both nature and human touch. Every garden tells a story of renewal, and perhaps none so clearly as one built from what others might discard. Plastic bottles, once destined for the bin, can rise again as towers of life. Vertical gardens that save space, nurture plants, and remind us that beauty often grows from what we choose to reuse. The process begins with bottles washed clean, their sides cut open to cradle soil. Each bottle becomes a pocket of possibility, ready to hold seeds or young sprouts. Stacked one upon another, fixed securely with string, wire, or a central pole, they form a tower, an upward stretch of green built from clear plastic walls. Some paint the bottles in bright colors, turning them into cheerful accents. Others leave them transparent, allowing roots to show like veins of life. As herbs and vegetables begin to grow, the tower transforms. Basil spills over the edge, lettuce unfurls crisp leaves, and small flowers bloom like stars among greenery. What was once empty waste becomes a pillar of abundance. On balconies, they save precious floor space. In backyards, they stand as proud sculptures of sustainability. Water trickles from top to bottom, feeding each layer in turn. The cycle feels natural, as though the bottles themselves were designed for this purpose. Children may marvel at how something so ordinary can hold such vitality. Guests may pause in admiration, surprised by the elegance of reuse. This garden tower is more than decoration. It is a lesson in care for plants, for resources, for the earth itself. And each time you harvest a leaf of lettuce or snip fresh herbs from its sides, you are reminded that the act of growing is also the act of giving new life to what once seemed forgotten. Every gardener knows the quiet frustration of searching for tools, the trowel hidden in the grass, the shears misplaced among pots, gloves tucked away in a corner. Order brings peace, and with a simple rack made from dollar store supplies, your tools can find a home where they rest neatly, waiting for the next touch of your hands. The process is humble, yet transformative. Wooden slats, perhaps repurposed from old boards, are fixed firmly to a wall or a fence. Dollar Tree hooks, strong despite their simplicity, are screwed or glued in place, lined up like guardians of order. Each hook takes its role. One for the spade, another for the hand rake, another still for pruning shears. Labels may be added, painted or stenciled, turning function into charm. Once complete, the rack stands like a silent companion in the garden. Tools hang ready, no longer scattered, no longer forgotten. The sight of them, organized and visible, carries a sense of calm, the calm that comes from knowing exactly where to reach when the soil calls. In use, the rack becomes more than storage. It becomes ritual. Each tool is taken, used, and returned, a rhythm that brings respect to the craft of gardening. Children may learn from it, watching how care extends not just to plants, but to the instruments that shape them. Guests may notice the tidy display, admiring how even the tools themselves become part of the garden's design. This project, though small, carries weight. It speaks of responsibility, of finding beauty in order, of giving even the simplest things their place. And in return, the garden feels lighter, more intentional, like a song played on instruments kept in harmony. When daylight fades and the air cools, there is a certain magic in the garden. It is the hour when shadows lengthen, when flowers close their petals, and when lanterns, humble mason jars reborn, begin to glow. Their light is gentle, golden, carrying whispers of nostalgia and warmth. The making is simple, yet full of charm. Old mason jars are cleaned and dried, their glass surfaces ready to hold either paint or light. Some are brushed with frosted finishes, muting the glow into a soft haze. Others are left clear, so the flicker of a candle dances freely within. Jute rope or wire is wrapped around the rims, forming handles strong enough to hang from branches or shepherd's hooks. When candles, real or LED, are placed inside, the jars awaken. Hung along a tree, they sway slightly in the breeze, scattering patterns of light across leaves and grass. Placed on a pathway, they guide footsteps with quiet grace. Set upon a table, they turn an ordinary evening into something intimate, as if each flame carries a story to be told. By night, the garden feels transformed, filled with the glow of stars captured in glass. Guests may pause, marveling at how something so simple feels so enchanting. They may recall old summer nights, childhood memories of fireflies, or family gatherings under soft light. That is the power of mason jar lanterns. They are not only decoration, but vessels of feeling. In crafting them, you preserve the past while lighting the present. The jars, once containers of preserves or pickles, become keepers of light, of atmosphere, of memory. And as their glow spills gently into the night, your garden becomes more than a space. It becomes a sanctuary of warmth.